Let me start the recording so that anything I say or do now can be held against me in a court of law. I'm just kidding. Please don't sue me. Welcome to live trading, everybody. It's always nice to see so many faces in here, and we got a lot of things rolling here. First and foremost, when we look at one thing I was telling my students yesterday was, let me go ahead and I'll pull up my little tracking account here, my little account here that I have. After kind of a disastrous December, we had a great November in trading. December, we really got whipsawed in and out. Took my account, which I originally put for this account because I like to monitor the trading conditions. We had we had deposited $250 initially in this account, and as you know, in December had a bit of a drawdown down to 177, and I was tempted down to 177. So yeah, it was a big drawdown. I was tempted to actually add more money into the account, but as kind of an educational experience for students, I wanted to say, we all have drawdowns as traders, and January has been phenomenal. We've got, in the immortal words of AC/DC, as I said yesterday, we are back in black. So it's been a great trading month in January after kind of a bad December. We're back in black as far as the account goes. Hit the sack. Don't you know it's glad to be back? So there is there is always light at the end of the tunnel if you just keep your head on a swivel and stay consistent in what you're looking to do. Now, I want to go in and I'm going to review real quick some of our trades here. I need to pull up, actually, let me go into our trading room, our PitView trading room from Wednesday. You should have been extremely happy with the results. In fact, you should have been more than extremely happy. Let's just kind of go down through the trades first. One of the things we were looking for was on dollar yen. We were looking to trade into our retracement zone here, and we were looking for any opportunity to buy dollar yen at a +5. As far as from Wednesday to today, that never really occurred. We had this come down through the retracement zone, break through our stop level. Our initial stop level was going to be here, but it also broke through the 100% retracement. So that kind of made that trade null and void. As you recall, I had a trade in on that that I went long, but we were essentially just looking for that retracement zone to be bounced out of, and it never got there. It actually broke the 100% retracement first. We had one also on euro dollar to where we were looking and waiting. We did this one during class where we had a short trade on euro dollar when it went to a -20. It all really depends on how you treated this trade as far as whether you treated it as a scalping trade. We gave you a couple of options on whether you wanted to put your short-term stop above the swing high, which was right up in here, or if you wanted to treat it more like a swing trade. The difference between the two being obviously a scalping trade is one that you're planning on being in for a very short period of time and looking for a quick little hit on one-to-one risk reward. Or if you wanted to choose to stay in the trade a little bit longer, remember, we're at this point, we should all be, because of Mr. Super Mario, pretty bearish on the euro because of their QE policy. Depending on where you would have gotten in on this, let me just pull up euro dollar real quick. Do I have it on my screen? I do not. Here, let me go here, and I'll pull up the 1 hour chart on euro dollar from my pair view. You can see it's in sell mode right now. I was looking at it on the hourly basis because depending on, here's where we were at the other day. We were looking at this big retracement up, and we were looking to go short. This is where we went short right down in here. And depending on how you treated it, it actually came right back up. It would have stopped you out if you treated it as a scalping trade, but it went -20 again to where you would have had another opportunity to get in. To participate in this move down, this extended move down. If you treated it like a swing trade, you would have easily met a one-to-one risk reward that would have been good for approximately 40 to 50 pips. And you can see how the euro dollar has been oscillating a little bit. It actually gave us some other opportunities here yesterday to go short, which I'll talk about here in just a second. So all in all, not a bad little we should have had opportunities for some profitability on the euro dollar. Here was our big boy from the other day. There was two trades which if you got in on these, this is one that I was already long in class. If you remember on the dollar Swiss buy entry on the 1 hour chart, this is one that I was already long in Wednesday's class. I was already long 2 micro lots on this. I'll kind of walk through this trade because the similar opportunity has presented itself on dollar Swiss right now. That's kind of will be our starting point as far as looking at the Swiss from a swing longer term standpoint. I'll go ahead and pull it up and show you what we had the other day. Let me go in and zoom in here. Here was our trade from the other day, and here let me just bring these down a little bit so I can pull my arrows up. But here's where we were at the other day. The Swiss is one to where and I will continue repeating this just so everybody can be on the same page when it comes to the dollar Swiss. I'll repeat it probably over and over again as we go through the upcoming weeks, is that, you know, after the big drop in the dollar Swiss and the euro Swiss with all the strength involving the Swiss, a lot of people have been scared out of this currency. The thing is that people forget that the Swiss National Bank has a negative exchange rate, which is generally not very good for a currency. So even though it had that big precipitous move down, you know, back here on the 15th, it doesn't change the fact that, you know, the Swiss, you know, National Bank has negative interest rate, and it's been making some pretty extreme moves to the upside. I mean, the Swiss has been extremely volatile. So getting to the point here, I was long actually 2 micros right in through here. We had this little double bottom formation. It has not been making, when it's retraced back to the downside, it hasn't been making large, you know, that large of retracements to the downside. So what I did is in my class on Tuesday morning, actually, I went long at the market here because of the fact that it was coming down to a trend line, and I just had, some trades are just a gut feel trade. You know, you're not really waiting for anything technical to happen. You just kind of go with your gut of, do I think this is a good opportunity to buy into dollar Swiss? You almost would consider it to be more of a fundamental trade based on your view. So we went long here, right in here at this level was at approximately 0.8970. And then I went ahead, and what I was also waiting for, if it broke through this little double bottom formation, I was also looking to go long another micro lot, which I did when it broke through, and it was also showing a lot of accumulation on the pair view. On the 1 hour totals, it was showing accumulation at a +5. So I was long 2 micros, and I was looking to hold this one, looking for a larger pip move, if you will. And this is the one to where it doesn't look like that big of a move, but remember what currency we're dealing with. We're dealing with the dollar Swiss, to where it quickly went up on the 2 lots. And right in here, when I woke up, what was it, yesterday morning, early morning, I saw this big range, this big pop to the upside on dollar Swiss, and I went ahead and took off my 2 lots, and that was good for upwards of about 250 pips to the upside as far as movement goes. And I also took the opportunity yesterday to go long dollar Swiss again, and I'll kind of explain that to you and what it looks like right now. But that would have been a very good trade, depending on how you treated it. Should have been able to reach at the minimum of a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio of a large amount of move. It's hard to tell where everybody got in, but this is what helped us go back in black, so to speak, in our account. And we've been doing pretty well on the dollar Swiss ever since. Now let me kind of take you through a scenario here on dollar Swiss. First and foremost, I should probably tell you that, whoops, I need to bring up my terminal. I'm currently long 2 more micros of dollar Swiss. You can see my trade in here, 2 micros at 0.92524. Stop loss I have way down here at 91.50. That stop loss may not hold depending on what it does. I'll come back to that here in just a second. I have a take profit way out there at about the 94.50 level, and I'll talk about this. So I'm already long 2 micros, up about 20 pips on this right now, and I'll kind of explain it to you as far as how this trade came into fruition, because I still think there's opportunities here. I haven't been really taking short-term trades on dollar Swiss, and I'll try to talk through my mentality here as far as why I'm long this position again. So in order to do that, we got to look at the bigger picture. Bigger picture on the Swiss, we're probably going to have to go out several times on this, is when we look at, hey, what's up, Mr. Bader? Oil, gas, my man. What's up, dude? Hopefully you've been doing well. All right, so here was our precipitous move down on the Swiss. We all know what this looked like. Some people blew up their accounts right in through here. You know, there's a lot of things to where I'll do a separate little presentation on this probably next week as far as how PitView was acting versus the Swiss when this move happened. But I digress. I don't want to go too far into that. We've had several opportunities that we've seen on dollar Swiss, and no matter how you look at it, whether you want to look at it as Euro Swiss or dollar Swiss, you know, the Swiss coming back up. The first trade we were looking for was when it broke through these highs right in through here. We were looking for opportunities to go long. When it came down and retraced, because it was making such a, you know, it has not made it hasn't dipped down from its highs that much. This was that second trade that we just had this week on Wednesday. And when you look at this resistance level right over in here, and here I'll bring this over a little bit. When you look at this resistance, this was the dead cat bounce. It came down, it came right back up and had a dead cat bounce above this level, which is, this is the level that we had broken through the other day. And when you look at the retracement that the Swiss could possibly make, remember the Swiss finance minister is pretty comfortable with the fact that she thinks that the Euro Swiss can go back to like 110, which would mean that the dollar Swiss would have to retrace at least halfway back up that move. And you've seen a lot of accumulation, a lot of buying interest going into dollar Swiss since then. So the trade from yesterday that we were looking at was the fact that it had already come up and made, every time it's been making higher highs, you need to be kind of quick on the trigger to buy into what we call momentum. There's two ways in which we can trade the market. There's two ways that we can trade the market: momentum and retracements, or, you know, in some respects we can trade consolidation. And for students that were looking at this yesterday, you see how this was sitting here, and this resistance level right in here was right at that 9,200 level. This dollar Swiss was finding resistance. You see it was in a state of consolidation. It was sitting here right at the 9,200 level. What I said yesterday was, hey, let's look for a break through this 9,200 level. If we can get even just a 1 hour close through 9,200, let's go ahead and buy into that. And that's where my position came from. You can see that's where a little bit profitable now. This one's been kind of swinging up, swinging down, swinging up, swinging down. And so, but it did make a close. If you're looking at the 1 hour totals, I believe Marie is looking at this 1 hour total on dollar Swiss, the fact that it's a -12. It was actually much worse than that. It was -17 there for a while. And I'll float back around to that here in just a second when we look at total view. So I'll just explain this trade right now, because what I did is I went ahead and bought when it broke through the 9,200. I put my stop right below this swing low right in here, which was roughly about 100 pips away at the time. And I'm really looking for at least 100 pips to take off half of my position at a 1-to-1 risk reward based on my stop. At the time that I take off half that position, I'll probably move my stop to at least break even. And I'm looking for a larger move to the upside. I'm looking for this thing to retrace large to the upside here. Now, this trade right in here, when it did break through, if you look at like the 1 hour totals on dollar Swiss, over the last several hours during this consolidation period, the 1 hour totals have been going more to the sell side of dollar Swiss being, of the Swiss being, dollar being offered against the Swiss, to where the Swiss has been bought, and it had stuck way negative in through here on that 1 hour total. If you look at the total view on this, okay, here, let me Minimize these two windows over here. Last 24 hours of what's been occurring on dollar Swiss is it was actually, with all this momentum that was occurring right here on dollar Swiss, it was actually going negative right in through here also over the last 24 hours, kind of a little bit of selling pressure. But since then, the dollar Swiss has been falling steadily from being at the top of our 24 hours to kind of falling down the chart, if you will. You can see that up until today, if you were looking at the 24-hour totals on total view, we usually look for the usual suspects to be down here near the bottom. The usual suspects being the euro and the Swiss. That kind of gives us our okay to start selling into those. They gradually came up as people started taking profits down in here. This is when the 24-hour total shifted. But the Swiss has kind of gone from first place, and it's been gradually coming down further and further to where I'm expecting this at some point. I'm going to be watching the totals on it to go green again as far as well bid, if you will. And you see it's kind of breaking out of some consolidation here. And, you know, even though a lot of times when you're looking at bid and ask and, you know, buy and sell imbalances on PitView, a lot of times you're going to see large amounts of buy and sell imbalances. Like you might see the buy and sell imbalances go plus 12, plus 12, 15, minus 12, minus 15 on the 1 hour totals. When it's in a state of consolidation, you see all these candlesticks in here. And whenever anything's consolidating, oftentimes it's just like any other indicator, stochastic, MACD. If it's going back and forth with that tug of war between market makers, a lot of times it's going to cause a little bit of an imbalance issue to be had. So we're going to I'll keep on watching this, but what my plan and my thought is here, if we can get a breakout above this high on dollar Swiss, I may not wait for this to come down and go against me by 100 points. I might move my stop up beneath this consolidation zone right in here, so I'm not risking as much on these two lots. But I'm still long on this trade. I'm long based on not only PitView was it fully green right up and through here, it was green also in through here on the totals, but I'm long also looking at this as more of a longer term position. I hope that made sense. If not, my apologies. All right. So let's kind of go through some other scenarios here for today. Actually, there's one more trade I want to look at as far as from this week. Sorry, I'm about 20 minutes in and we haven't gotten into anything live here yet. The other one that I added at the end of class on Wednesday, and I totally forgot to cover this in our live trading class, and this was another one that would have gotten a very nice little profit, was on the pound dollar sell entry. We had looked at it early in the class on Wednesday, but I forgot to come back. I forgot to come back to it, if you will. On the pound dollar, this is the last one we'll look at, and then we'll look at our trading scenarios for today. When you look at pound dollar on the 1 hour time frame, it made a nice little double top right up in here. Double top formation, reversal pattern. I love reversal patterns when they form when a preceding move going into a reversal pattern, such as a double top. When you have a nice strong trend going into a reversal pattern, oftentimes when it breaks through those types of patterns, the stronger that pattern is. Some people might look at, double bottoms and double tops, as they form on a chart, but I always look at the preceding move. If the preceding move is very strong, it just means that if this does break through this reversal, then you're in for some strength in the market, if you will. So it did break through on this pound dollar. This actually became very well bid on well offered on pound versus dollar. It went to like -5. Whenever anything is breaking out of consolidation and you see the imbalances start to shift dramatically, which is what happened in here. It did go to a -5, and this is one that you could have set up for a 1-to-1 risk reward also. To where it would have been good for about 75 to 80 pips, I believe, is what this total move was for if you would have just looked for a 1-to-1 risk reward. So that would have been a good trade also. Looking at today, so let's get down to business and let's kind of shift our charts around a little bit. Looking at today and looking here at the end of the week. We've had a good week so far, so we're going to be a little bit more cautious as to not give away too much back to the market. Let's first look at all the major pairs of what's been shaken on them as far as the overall trends go. The euro dollar, kind of looking back the last 4 to 5 trading days, has been in a state of consolidation. I actually kind of look at this as being a good thing when I look at the euro dollar. And when you look at the euro dollar of how consolidated it has been, I think it presents opportunities because of the fact that I'm extremely bearish on the euro dollar. And as it's been coming up and retracing, it's been making some nice moves down. Pound dollar, again, when you look at it, the strength of dollar versus the pound, euro dollar has been kind of sideways throughout the week. The pound started off getting stronger and has been ending the week with dollar strength. Dollar strong versus the Aussie. Commodity currencies are getting crushed versus the dollar. Aussie's crush, came straight down. Dollar is very strong versus Aussie. Dollar's very strong versus New Zealand. And obviously, oil, gas, Mr. Bader. We got the dollar CAD here, which has been suffering through and through due to the falling oil prices, lowering their interest rate by 25 basis points. So we got dollar strength versus the commodity currencies. Dollar yen is one that we're looking to trade in really either direction. That's another one we're looking at here in just a second. And you almost see a lot of the dollar turning a bit to become, the dollar is still the bully in the schoolyard. It's extremely strong versus the Swiss, strong versus the commodity currencies. It's been sideways versus the yen because it's been based off risk aversion or risk off effect in the markets. And it's been strong over the short term last couple of days versus the pound, and sideways versus the euro, although long term we all know that the dollar is extremely strong versus the euro. So let's look at our euro dollar first. I'm going to kind of change my charts around. In fact, I'm going to take some of these charts off. I just want to pull up 3 for right now. And let me tile these onto the screen. Put dollar Swiss over in here. There we go. All right. So first one's first, let's look at the euro dollar. And I'll go ahead and expand that one. And I'm going to go to a 5-minute chart here. Scalping strategy is in play right now on the euro dollar. What I mean by this is I am on the euro dollar. Obviously, we're bearish on the euro, bullish on the dollar. We've had several trading opportunities. When you look at it from a 5-minute standpoint, it's been making some large moves up and down. I'm still in the mode to try to sell the euro dollar. In fact, let me go ahead and zoom in on this chart a little bit more. Throughout the day right now, and here I'll go ahead and zoom in again. There we go. Strategy for the euro dollar is going to be, we're going to look at the same type of strategies on the euro dollar as we normally do, only we're going to concentrate and focus in more on selling opportunities on the euro. So on the euro, what we're going to be looking at is on the 5-minute time frame, we're going to be utilizing our scalping strategy. So the scalping strategy looks like this. We're going to do sell entries on negative 20s on the 1 hour on the 5-minute totals. If you're looking for shorter term opportunities, as it's been coming up, it gave actually a nice little sell trade right in here as it came back up into this retracement zone. But it's been consolidating a bit, but I would still look for opportunities to go short. What we generally do is we have a minimum stop. Our stops, generally what we're going to look for is we're going to look for our stops to be 1 pip above previous swing highs. And then alternative exit, or exit when 5-minute totals go positive 20. If it gives a conflicting signal, which is positive 20, that's our other signal to get out. And we're looking for a 1-to-1 risk reward on any type of limit trades. Now also, when it comes to the stop order, remember, based on the spreads that we're looking at, we never want to get too crazy as far as the cost of our trades when it comes to scalping. Let me change this around a little bit to add something. Our minimum stop and profit levels should at least be 12 pips. Why? Because one of the biggest mistakes that scalpers make is going long and short and paying too high of a cost or a spread on their pairs when they're going into them. So we never want our cost to outweigh our probability in our trades. So we'll keep an eye on euro dollar right up in here, and if this goes negative 20, we'll look for opportunities to go ahead and short this. Whoops. So let me go ahead and snip this sucker. There we go. Go to our live trading room. Go ahead and take some of these off for right now. We can actually review some of that if we have time at the end of the class, but Euro USD. On the 5-minute time frames. There we go. And we'll keep an eye on that one. Try not to be too overzealous today, because if you have some good profits in the market this week, again, the last thing you want on a Friday, we talk about this all the time. If you've had a good trading week, in my case, upwards is total of well over 600 pips this week. When you've had a good trading week, when I was a trader in Chicago at the on the exchange floor, you don't want to go from having your plan to buy everybody's drinks on a Friday afternoon at Ceres at the Board of Trade to having to have other people buy your drinks for you. So try not to give too much back on that. Now, other one that we're looking at today, and we're going to look at dollar yen here. Dollar yen is one that we really like trading in either direction. We really like this pair to be traded in another direction. Let me bring this down. I'm sorry, I should bring dollar yen down in here. Yeah, there we go. So let me go here. I got my 1 hour time frame up. Let me zoom in a little bit on here. Yeah, we're only looking for shorts on the euro dollar right now. And then on dollar yen, this is one that we've been looking at to go either long or short. The dollar yen, because it's been oscillating sideways on these 1 hour time frames, it's been oscillating down and up and down and up, kind of right between the 117 and 119 zones. So on dollar yen, there's two ways that you can approach this today, and I do believe that, Phil, you're probably already long on this. That's what it looked like in the comments section. All right, so euro dollar, or I'm sorry, dollar yen, sorry. It's already came down into this retracement zone right in through here. Retracement zone. Our retracement zone on the dollar yen. Man, I got euro dollar on the brain because I keep on looking at it up here. Here, put you up here for a second. it's already come down into our retracement zone. So our buy entry on this, is going to be a +5 on the 1 hour totals. So we're going to watch the 1 hour totals on the PitView. If it goes +5, we're going to go ahead and go long. This would be a swing type of strategy to where we're looking for a little bit more profit and as far as risk reward goes, a little bit more as far as our risk reward. If we do get a +5, you want to put your stop right below this low. So the stop would be 117.232. which is right below that 100% retracement. Whenever we can get in on trades when it's retraced, whenever we can buy into dips as something has been coming down, such as the dollar yen, this is our opportunity where we do like to scale out if we're in a swing trade. Meaning if I have 2 lots on, like 2 micros in this case, I'll go limit 1. Limit 1 would be based on where your entry is. We're going to do a 1-to-1 risk reward. And limit 2, remember, whenever I put limit 1 or limit 2, I always have to repeat this because there's always newer students coming in. If I get my +5, I'll go ahead and buy like 2 micros at the market. I'll buy 2 lots at the market. Once that occurs, once it does hit my 1-to-1 risk reward based on where my entry is to my stop, I'll take 1 lot off. I'll move my stop to break even on my second lot, and I'll generally look for a larger amount of profit, which generally what I do is I look to trade the meat of the movement. So I'm not going to look for it to come up and break into new highs. I'll look at the 78.6% retracement of the retracement, which is right here at 118.246. So limit 2 would be 118.246. That's the extended profit that I'll look for. After I've taken my 1 profit off, I'll go ahead and let it ride. I'll move my stop to break even and let it ride a bit. You can see it looks like the market says they've been opening here. I know we had a worse than expected GDP number this morning in the market. I believe it came, there was expecting a rise of +3. It came out at +6. So the advanced GDP number was a little bit worse than expected, which made the futures drop, but it looks like they've recovered a bit. So a lot of this trade will be dependent on, risk off, risk on, meaning stocks go up, dollar yen generally goes up. Stocks go down, dollar yen generally is going to go down. All right. So I can delete that one. There's kind of a write-up. We're going with this same scalp strategy on euro dollar today. So there's our 1 hour time frame. There's our chart that kind of explains it, where to buy it. There we go. I can take that one off too. There we go. Second strategy we're going to look at on dollar yen is there's 2 separate things that I'm looking for on dollar yen. Yes, I'm already long on dollar Swiss, by the way. I'm already long on 2 lots on that. That's why I covered that one first. And I'll write that one on here also, but I want to get to some other trades here. On dollar yen, the other thing that you can look for is this is more of a swing strategy here, okay? So 1 hour swing strategy. What do we mean by swing strategy? It means that if we get into this trade we're not looking to hold it just for a couple of minutes or for for an hour. We're looking at this. This could take several hours to come to fruition because we're looking at the 1 hour charts. The other strategy I think we can look at on dollar yen today, and here I can go ahead and take off all of these objects from the chart. Now that I have it copied down, is I'm going to go ahead and switch dollar yen on my pair view up in here to a 5-minute time frame. Whoops, let's get over here. There we go. Dollar yen on the 5-minute time frame. So you can switch in between from, as long as you got your PitView Expert Advisor on here, you can switch between on the charts. So on dollar yen, the other thing that I would look for on here on dollar yen is if you want to look for a longer term, or I'm sorry, shorter term opportunities on the dollar yen, see these 5-minute totals right up in here, is looking at more scalping type of trades on here. The same scalping setup that we generally have is going to be set based on, okay, so we have our -3 right now on the 5-minute totals. We're going to go ahead and take shorter term trades on this. So an alternative entry, a buy entry would be our scalping technique. So buy entry on scalps, +20. On the 5-minute totals. Since dollar yen is at the lower end of its range right now, we are going to be looking for buy entries at a +20. We've been really looking at trading dollar yen in either direction, meaning as it comes to the lower part of its range on the 1 hour charts, we look to buy. When it gets to the upper part of its range, we're looking to sell. It just so happens on the 1 hour time frame, when you look at it, it's getting down, it's bouncing off that 117 level, so it's been kind of bouncing off the lower part of the range. So as far as stop orders go on dollar yen, look at your 5-minute charts, stop, put it 1 pip below a swing low. Your minimum stop on dollar yen, put a minimum stop of at least 15 pips. I kind of round up on the spreads generally on these, so minimum stop 1 pip below the swing low. But make sure your stop is at least 15 pips away, meaning if this comes down and makes another swing low, if you're looking at where you should put your stop order, you want to make sure that you at least have 15 pips between wherever your swing low is and wherever your entry is. And then looking for limit of 1-to-1 risk reward. And yes, I am watching the euro dollar. It's almost getting to a sell point right now. That is not escaping me, so I am watching that. There we go. And then the alternative exit, again on dollar yen. Same strategy that we have on the euro dollar, only we're looking for buys. So look for buys on dollar yen today, and we're looking for shorts on euro dollar. And believe it or not, these two, they don't necessarily trade in the same direction at the same time, even though we're doing dollar-based strategy here. So let's go ahead and snip that trade. Go ahead and copy. I got 5-minute totals on here, but 5-minute chart and totals is what we're looking at. There we go. So 2 alternative strategies here. And dollar yen has plenty of room to go up. So we'll just wait and see what occurs here. Let's kind of take a breather here for a second and just kind of check through our charts. Let's see here. I need to change my charts around a little bit. Here we go. Let me change this back to the euro dollar on the 5-minute. Switch these two around. There we go. I'm going to switch dollar yen back over to a 5-minute chart over here. Tim asks, hey Steve, first time here. Can you please advise how you change the FX pair view to include 2 time frames, please? Absolutely, Tim. Definitely have plenty of time here. Let me kind of expand it, and I'll show you a little bit of probably how your pair view might look. Now, even though I've been trading for a while, Tim, one thing you need to know about me is that I am susceptible to analysis paralysis. So the less things that I'm looking at one time, the better for me. So this is probably what your, am I correct, Tim, in saying that this is probably what your pair view looks like, kind of similar to this right in here? So when you're looking at this, Tim, what you're going to do is if you right-click, like I like to have the one, since we do scalping off 1-hour charts a lot in this class and we do a lot of 5-minute totals, I like to have the 1-hour totals and the 5-minute totals. And I generally don't like to look at each individual market maker. I kind of like to get the ebb and flow of what's happening overall. So what I do is if you right click here on the dollar Swiss in this case, the first thing I'll do is I'll go to show and hide columns, and the only columns I want to see is I want to see my session totals. The only ones I'll have checked are session totals and the minute totals right down in here. So I'll just have those 2 checked. And once I check those, you can see it takes it down to where I only see the 1-hour total column and the 5-minute total column. Now to change your time frames, if I right click again on dollar Swiss, I can go to change time frames and session. And since we've been doing a lot of scalping on 5-minute and our swings off 1-hour time frames, I'll put my session length on 1 hour and I'll put my minute length at 5 minutes, and I'll just click on apply. And then what I do is, for me, I just want to look at those totals. So, a lot of people, as they get more experienced in PitView, they may become followers of like individual market makers. But I'll just take my mouse and I'll just diminish it to where all I have showing, instead of viewing all the market maker activity, I'll just have the 1-hour totals and the 5-minute totals showing. So if yours is only showing 5 minutes, Tim, what you'll want to do is go ahead and right-click on your chart. Right-click on your chart, go to show and hide columns, and make sure your session total is checked. So right click anywhere on your pair view screen, go to show and hide columns, and make sure your session total. You see how I have session total and 5-minute totals checked? Make sure you have both of those checked. And that just creates, for me anyway, that creates a more, an easier view, if you will. All right, so kind of going around the horn here, we can probably afford to look at some other potential trade opportunities here. So I'll keep these up for right now, and let's go in and kind of look at some, let's go around the horn and see what else is shaking up in here. Now obviously, Bader will probably come after me if I don't show dollar CAD and Nick. Dollar CAD is another interesting one. You know, this is one that's been extremely volatile based on buy and sell prices. Remember, we're going to hook up again as a live trading class on Monday morning, and there's other things that we can look at as far as longer term, you know, strategies, scalping strategies and whatnot. You know, dollar Canadian is one that, you know, you look at some of these moves that it's making, 120 pips here to the upside that we've seen here. You know, looking at this, it's hard for me. Dollar Canadian is one that you know, just this past week or even last week I said, you know, we can look for opportunities to try to trade this in either direction, to where it's kind of hard not to be overly bearish on the Canadian right now of this thing going up. Because it seems like every time we think that the dollar Canadian is going to stall out at a higher high, oil continues to drop, pushing it dollar CAD even higher, to where, you know, this thing could easily go up to 130 if we keep on getting that that rise and that spike in oil prices, if you will, or I'm sorry, the oil prices coming down. So when it looks at dollar Canadian, you know, Bader, one thing that we like is trading into retracements. Is as this comes down and retraces, and as you know, I'm on a 5-minute time frame in here, is looking for other opportunities to buy. You know, if you're scalping, you can use the same scalping strategy on dollar Canadian. Technically, if you wanted to, you could probably trade it in either direction. But you know, if you're looking for plus 20s, like if dollar Canadian went to a plus 20, you know, I would certainly not be opposed to going long dollar Canadian, looking for shorter term scalping opportunities to the upside. I'm not really looking to over trade today after the phenomenal week that we've had, but so I'm kind of just picking and choosing my pairs very carefully here on Friday afternoon, which there's nothing wrong with that. So, you know, but that's certainly something that I would look out for. The other one that's actually been giving, you know, that's kind of been in a world on its own has been the pound dollar here. Pound dollar is another one when you look at it. You know, we had here, let me switch this over to 1 hour. Scoot this over a bit and take this off. You know, we had this double top formation, and the dollar's been kind of ruling the roost versus the pound right in here. If you're kind of looking for kind of more counter strategies to the dollar, you know, this is something I was looking at this morning. You see how much support is being found here at the 150 level on the pound. You see this, you know, see this almost, it's almost looks like a dragonfly doji, so to speak, right here, right at the 150 level. The pound, if you're looking at counter trend strategies, what I mean by counter trend strategy is anything against the dollar strength that we've been seeing, then the pound is certainly one that you could almost look at opportunities to go long on. Again, even if you're on Friday, if you're looking for shorter term opportunities, even with the scalping technique that we use, you can look for opportunities to go long here. So, you know, as the pound comes down here and retraces, you could look at the same type of scalping strategy on the 5-minute totals if they go to a plus 20 of looking for opportunities to potentially buy pound on the way up. You that might be a great strategy now that it's circling right down near that 150 level. Looking for opportunities to buy pound for short-term swings up could be in your best interest. So if you're looking for scalping opportunities on the pound, on the euro dollar, we're looking for opportunities to go short when it goes -20. On the pound dollar, you could look for opportunities to go long at a +20 if you're looking for counter trend ideas on the dollar today. And then going around the horn, you leave a little more here. And I'm still kind of looking at trades today. Not giving out as many trades today as far as, what we look at. Again, not to sound like a broken record, but the last thing you want to do is get itchy on the trigger on a Friday afternoon before, and we'll come back on Monday for more trades. So let's see here, pound dollar. Let me go to New Zealand dollar. And yeah, we talk about scenarios that go good for us and then scenarios that also go bad for us. I have no view one way or the other on New Zealand right now. So when I say this, take it with a grain of salt or whatever you want. But this is one that I was totally wrong on, because on Wednesday, remember in Wednesday morning's class, my view was the RBNZ. I was kind of everybody was expecting the RBNZ to be a little bit more dovish. Perhaps there were even traders out there thinking the Reserve Bank of New Zealand would lower their interest rates. I kind of thought they might stay with their more hawkish stance on their tightening policies. Looking, because up until the last several months they've been looking to raise interest rates again, based on the inflationary pressure that's brought about by volatile underlying commodity prices. But that was not the case. They actually came out. And people, I think, took the Graham Wheeler statement from the RBMZ a little bit more dovish than it really was. Graham Wheeler, really what he said, and I put it into layman's terms for my class yesterday, is basically they didn't really say they were going to lower interest rates. They said, you know what, we could raise them, we could lower them, we don't know. We're going to see what happens. So they weren't coming out and saying they're going to lower interest rates. They came out and said, based on what's going on, whenever you have an underlying commodity currency where commodities can be extremely volatile. Both New Zealand and Aussie are two currencies that can dramatically raise and lower interest rates at a rapid pace should underlying commodity volatility hit the market. So Graham Wheeler wasn't exactly dovish. He just kind of went from more of a hawkish bias to a neutral bias of saying, hey, we may have to lower interest rates. We could possibly raise them again. Who knows? That was exactly what happened. I was kind of expecting them to be a bit more hawkish, but New Zealand came down. What I would say on New Zealand and Aussie, you could trade that immense dollar strength against either one of those currencies. However, I wouldn't be a huge fan of that. I would kind of stay away because of the interest rate differentials. Generally speaking, I only really look for opportunities to buy New Zealand, the Kiwi, or buy the Aussie. In this case, I just kind of put them on the back burner for now. Let me go back to my dollar Swiss here, see what's shaking with this one. Seeing quite a bit of strength in here. Kimberly asks on here, sorry about that, Kimberly, I didn't see yours on here until just now. Kimberly was asking where you can view past trade ideas. Well, generally, if you're signed up for the classes, Kimberly, for the live trading classes, I'll send out on email all the trading thoughts to whoever registered for the class at the end of the class, like the Word document showing the trading ideas, and also send out all the recordings also. If you want any of those, if you want me to kind of send you a list of them, just shoot me an email, and I'll put it down here under the chat. You can shoot me an email. You should already have my email address, but steve.nurre@pitview.com. Another question that just came straight to me here. Here, let me pull this over a bit. There we go. Somebody wanted me to kind of explain this dollar Swiss trade once again. The dollar Swiss is one, you know, to be perfectly clear with you, I want to, you see, for one thing, Marie, my scalper. We would have never gone into scalping if Marie wasn't there. So everybody should be thanking her because we've actually made some pretty good coin. You see how dollar Swiss on the 1 hour totals, it was like -12 when we first came in, and now it's like -4. This thing has gradually been moving up. I was also looking at the total views. Let me go 24 hours on here. You see how Swiss now on the 24 hours, 24 hour on the total view, actually, it gives you kind of an overall sense of where overall market maker overall market maker positions are. The fact that this is breaking into a new high, and you see the Swiss has gradually been coming down on the 24 hours. You know, let's face it, we're looking at bid and ask activity when we look at these things. And, you know, over the long term, market makers generally want their books to be at about 50-50. Liquidity providers want it to be about 50% on the bid, 50% on the ask. That's ideal. Over a 24-hour period, wherever you see these currencies go, can generally give you a good indication of where the underlying positions might be with a liquidity provider when you're looking at it over a 24-hour time frame. What I generally look for is what we call our usual suspects. The dollar has been very strong as of late. So on the 24-hour totals, what gives me a little bit more confidence in the trades that I put on is whenever I see the dollar right up here, when it's among the usual suspects of strength, and I always love to see the Swiss and the Euro down here as the wimpy kids in the schoolyard, because it kind of shows you over the last 24 hours of who the stronger ones have been and who the weaker ones have been. So I went back here to the 5-minute totals because I've got another question that came in through here. So let me take a look at this. I'll minimize this window. Let's see. Tim asked a question on here. And folks, what I'm doing right now is, since it's a live trading room, those are kind of the currencies I'm looking at right now. So I'm just kind of taking it easy a bit here. Tim asked, let's go in here. You want to have the times of 15-minute and 5 minutes. Is that possible? Yeah, if you want to pull up both a 15-minute time frame and a 5-minute time frame on a currency, what I'll generally do is I'll have two separate pair views up when I do that. So if I want to look at a 15 and a 5, what I'll usually do is I'll go in here. And what I'll do is if you want to look at them at the same time, generally on your columns, you have session leaders and followers, which is the hourly time frames, and the minute-by-minute leaders and followers. Now you can change those time frames right in through here, but you're changing them in these for either hours or minutes right in here. What I'll generally do is, so I can look at, if I want to look at two minute-by-minute time frames at the same time, I'll usually have a 5-minute up, and if I want to look at a 15-minute, I'll pull up a 15-minute total on a separate pair view window. It's not what I'm looking at here, though, so let me go ahead and change that back to 5 minutes. There we go. And I need to pull up dollar yen again because that's one we're looking for here. So you can't have minutes, multiple minute windows on the pair view window. I believe there's I'll have to take a look at it. I've never tried to put multiple minute windows in the pair view window because I'll usually have it, I set it 1 hour and 5 minute. shoot me an email after class. There's probably a way to do it. So if there is a way to do it, I'll usually have it up in multiple pair view windows, but if there's a way to do it, I can certainly look into it for you. So shoot me an email after class and I'll look into that for you. All right, let's see here. More questions coming through in here. Phil says, pound was on the bottom on the total view, so do you think it's a good idea to go long? On the total view window, you are correct. The pound was sitting right at the bottom on the total view, right down in here. That's kind of one of our dogs, if you will, our weaker wimpy kids, our wimpy kid currencies right down in here. And you can see on the chart when we go to pound dollar. Here, let's go to pound dollar. We can just click on it, change it over to pound dollar. It has been selling off, and it's been finding support here. So I mean, the pound dollar has sold off dramatically over the last, over the last 24 hours and the last hour. I mean, it's made a big shift to the downside. The only thing I'm looking for is PitView, can tell, it can tell you what's happening now, which it's accurate. What's happening now is, yes, the pound has been sold off over the last 24 hours. It's near the bottom as far as our wimpy kids go. However, the fact that it's made such support here, that 150 level, it seems has been being eyed by traders. I'm not really looking to trade pound today. When I was looking at pound, a lot of people are kind of looking for where my trades might lie, should I hypothetically want to go in and place them. Pound I kind of would favor right now, more taking a long position. And I'm not saying pound is going to break up. It might continue to the downside here. But if you're looking for like a dead cat bounce off of this, off of all the selling pressure on the pound, then I would actually, for shorter term trades, as long as it's near these lows right down in here, Phil, look for opportunities to go long. For short term, I mean, this thing can continue making lower highs and lower lows, but if looking at this as a kind of a Friday trade scenario, I almost would look at it, favoring it to the upside a little bit, just looking for a dead cat bounce, a little bit of a bounce here from that 150 level. And again, you wouldn't be risking a lot, maybe risk 20 pips or so on the pound, depending on where you put your stop, which should be right, below the swing low if you were to get a buy. And let's see here. Change this back to dollar yen. I'm still looking for opportunities here. Market's been, when you look at it on some of these 1 hour time frames, it's been kind of just oscillating back and forth. The only exception being the one that I'm already long, which is dollar Swiss, which is up roughly about 30 points right now. So we got about 35 pips in the dollar Swiss right now. This is the trade that I had on coming into class. I know we're right here near the end of the live trading session. Let me just kind of do a quick recap as far as the trades go. These are kind of my the three that I'm looking at today. We have our dollar yen right down here in the retracement zone. Here I can take these objects off the chart since I already have that copied down. There we go. We have our dollar yen down in here in the retracement zone, which is right near its lows. I am looking for buying opportunities. We can either do it as a long-term scalp if it goes to +5, or we can look at it from a short-term standpoint if it goes to a +20 for a shorter-term bounce to the upside. So depending on what kind of trader you are, if you like to hold them a little bit longer and set and forget a little bit, or if you're more of a scalping or a scalping type trader, you have two different strategies, either trading off the 5-minute or the 1 hour. Coming back over here to euro dollar, looking for opportunities to go short at a -20. Even though this looks like a huge amount of movement, it's been kind of ranging back and forth in like this little 20 pip range right down in here. Again, not much has been really happening except for one that we're already long, which is dollar Swiss. But 5-minute totals, the scalping strategy I think is the best strategy for the rest of the day on the euro dollar. It is sitting here floating right near this 113 level, but this one probably has a lot more probability to go down, if you will, through that support level. 113 has not really necessarily been a huge support level on the euro dollar, but I would still take opportunities to short it if the 5-minute totals go to -20. So those were our kind of two scenarios, kind of a swing / scalping strategy on dollar yen for the day. Nothing's executed as of yet. More of a scalping strategy on euro dollar, which nothing is really executed yet on that yet today. Don't force trades in. That was our other lesson for today, especially after a good week. And the only one that we're long, again, let's go in here to my 1-hour time frame on the dollar Swiss. I'll explain this trade a little bit in more detail to you here at the close. Dollar Swiss, for those in class this week, it essentially comes down to looking for opportunities to buy momentum. Whenever you have currency pairs, and I know you wanted this explained in more detail, when you have currency pairs that don't make very extreme, don't dip that much when it's making higher highs and higher lows in the market, you need to think quick on your feet, meaning you got to keep your head on a swivel. So what we were looking for, since it had found resistance at this 9,200 level, as it made higher highs and closed, I went ahead and went long on dollar Swiss yesterday. That was the trade that I have in. And you can see this little line right in here showing my stop. I went long when it closed above 9,200, and I put my stop right below these swing lows down in here. As far as my target, look how far up my target is. I got it right up here at like 94.50 for right now. I'm going to kind of keep an eye on dollar Swiss as we go through the weekend and whatnot. But as far as the trading strategy overall in dollar Swiss, I'm risking roughly about 102 points on this trade. As it moves up, as it moves further up to the upside, I'll probably alleviate some of that risk. I'll certainly take off half this position. You see I have 2 lots on in here. I'll take off half this position once I do reach 100 pip gain. So if I get up to, let's say, 93.52, I'll take off half this position, and I'll move my stop to break even. So my first take profit level is going to be at approximately 93.52, which I'm about 80 pips away. And if you've been watching dollar Swiss at all, it can move 80 pips in 5 minutes with the way it's been acting the last several weeks. So that's my trade there. This is more of a discretionary type of trade. You can look for opportunities to go long on scalping trades on like +20s if you wish on dollar Swiss. You see even the 1-hour totals have gradually been going up since we've been in class, showing more acquisition of dollar versus Swiss. So it's this is one that's been working out pretty well for us so far. It's been helping us out a lot. Here at the end of the day, towards the end of the day here, if I can get a sustained break above these highs, I might move my stop to be more under this consolidation level right in through here. It depends on if I do get a sustained break above these highs, though. I'm kind of going to watch dollar Swiss close in through here. And but again, we don't have that much more to go for Friday's trading day. And remember, I'll be seeing you all on Monday morning for our live trading class. And hopefully we can have another great week next week that we had this week. So we'll stay tuned for that. But that's about all I have right now, folks. Still really no trades working here in the live trading room, and I really have no problems. Is dollar Swiss good to get into now? Absolutely. And if you wanted to get into dollar Swiss now, I still think it's a buy right now. I think it's certainly one that gives you buying opportunity. Unlike my trade, if you wanted to buy the dollar Swiss now, if you wanted to buy it right now at the market, what I would say is put your stop. Put your stop. Here's our consolidation. Put your stop like 1 pip below this low right down in here. That's kind of what I'm considering doing here. So put your stop 1 pip below the low. put your limit at 1-to-1 risk reward from the current price. That should put you right in line with my trade. If you put your risk down in here and look for a 1-to-1 risk reward, that should put you right in line with about where my take profit level is, because you're, based on the current price, you'd be risking about 80 pips, and my first take profit level is at 93.50. So my first take profit level being at 93.50, you still have a setup here for a 1-to-1 risk reward trade. If you're doing more than one lot, take off one lot, and I'm looking for this no man's land area over in here to eventually get reached, and we'll revisit that on Monday morning. So my stop is down here. I'm going to keep it there for now, but if you are getting the trade now, put your stop below this swing low, and you can still look for a nice 1-to-1 setup. And next Monday, we'll get February off to a good start after a kick-ass January. I've been talking way too much. I've been keeping you folks on way too long. I apologize for that. Unfortunately, nothing going this morning as far as trades that we've put on. We are up about 30 pips right now on dollar Swiss. I really still like going long dollar Swiss. I'll be sending out the trade sheet here at the end of class. If you do not receive it, please let me know. If you need any recordings from any previous classes also, please let me know. And just let me know anything you need. See you, Nick, Daryl, Phil, Marie, Tim, Kimberly. Have a great weekend. Happy Super Bowl weekend. And good job this week. Very good job this week. Back in black. So see you all Monday morning. Bye-bye, everybody.